This is the Board of Health meeting. Thursday, April 20th, 2023, that's a little after 6. Zoom meeting,
Hybrid.
hybrid meeting, excuse me, hybrid meeting, the meeting down in conference room 3. Present at the meeting is Sue Braska,
G. Nelson.
Thomas Hibbert.
and Mackenzie Kane will not be joining us, and we do not have a secretary. So, public comment, you don't have anybody up there for public comment. So review of the minutes, I had sent the minutes out earlier, you had any corrections?
I had made some minor corrections. Yes, I did.
So,
And I remember to print them and put them in your folders.
you want to make a motion?
I certainly will. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of April 6th.
I second that motion, all in favor?
G. Nelson, I.
Sue Braska, yes, and Miss.
There you go. Thank you.
Tom Simons there. And I'm gonna attach the 2 nurses, reports to those and the CHE meeting that we had in March.
Okay.
So secretary,
So I'm honestly not sure how much is official or what I can share or not, but there has been some talk with Carl about mixing with some other positions and making a bigger position that the Board of Health Secretary would be part of that. Nothing official yet, but could be promising. So we'll see where that goes. The other applicant that was just a general applicant to the town. I did call earlier today and left a message. Their voicemail cut me off after like 10 seconds. So I called twice actually. I hope I was able to get enough out. But maybe they'll call me back or I'll try again at another time. And no new applicants have come in. So,
So the secretary
yeah,
is going to be hired by the select board.
yeah,
The Board of Health should actually be the one to determine,
right.
Well,
not
hopefully-
the select board.
hopefully we would be involved since it'd be part of our hours and part of whatever
Yeah.
department.
Right,
Right.
but it's my understanding the job was already offered.
Oh. Did you hear that?
I don't think anything was offered in any official
Well,
capacity, but
Offered internally or?
yes,
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But the position still has to be created, so there's nothing formal. has
nothing
happened
formal,
yet.
but it's already been discussed and accepted and
Yeah,
in,
in our historically, because like I know in my familiarity in Westfield is the Board of Health appoints the director. And then the director has the say of the other hires. Is that how it's been here? Or has the board always voted on each
We haven't
position?
had other than Karen,
Mm.
who Tammy was involved with and
Yeah.
Scott. We haven't had anybody where we've shared, well, Jean too, but we haven't had anybody where we've shared.
Okay,
So if you wanna get on top of that,
okay. All right,
but traditionally it was the Board of Health that hired,
okay,
yeah.
associated.
okay.
What else?
So if that position if it goes through, it does get created, we would want to have a vote to accept that shared position will be whoever it ends, whether it's the internal person
Yeah,
or
we'd
if
like to
we
have-
hire
yeah,
someone
we'd like
else.
To meet the person and.
Yep, okay. So, yeah, so with that, I guess we'll have to see what happens and then we can
create the position.
go from there.
If you wanna, yeah, make sure.
But yeah, I'll make sure to let Carl or Nadine know that that we would have to, you guys would have to vote on it.
Yeah, we wanna be involved.
Yeah. Okay,
It'll be 10 hours for us,
right,
unless they want to give us more.
right. So,
Yeah, and it's the money too.
Yeah, how that's
Right.
gonna work.
right. Yeah, it could, I don't know how that would work. It could be that the position is paid entirely out of, or we would have to, our portion, we would have to pay, and I don't know,
Well,
Well-
I think I want to pay our portion. I don't want it to be
right,
where it's just all someone
Yeah,
else's
'cause-
and then they
Right.
say, gee, you're not paying, so
Right.
she's gonna have all the hours.
yeah,
he's gonna
then
have
if
the
it ever
hours.
gets split up too, then. If they took that out of our budget and then they ever
Yeah,
said,
Right.
oh, they're not gonna share anymore, and then we'd have nothing in our budget,
Right,
so,
but our budget's like $16 and some odd cents
Right.
an hour.
right,
they'll have to up it then.
Yeah.
The job is going to go to like over $18.
yeah, so.
So they'll either have to apportion the Board of Health
Mhm,
budget in accordance with
Mhm.
the position,
right,
or they're just going to take it off of the Board of Health's budgeted line item
right,
and run it through theirs.
yeah, okay,
Okay, so just keep that in mind.
yeah,
For when this actually happens.
Should I email Carl, ask him what's going on, or just?
No, I
I'll talk
think
to him,
Tom's
yeah.
got a handle on it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I've been talking to them about it, so I'll just make sure they know that you would have to vote, and obviously would wanna be involved in selecting whoever it may be. All right, so the physician agreement. This will tie in with all the public health grant stuff, but I got the approval back from DPH for the revised budget. I sent that to Laura today, so hopefully in the very near future. That will all be straightened out, and we can start finalizing everything with the physician.
So the revised budget is, we got from DPA.
Yep, and I'll get back to that later, but that's all I really have for the physician's
So
agreement.
that packet I have for him, I just need to go through and make sure it says Town of Southwick. And I don't know if we should,
Yeah, and I think Laura said we would just need the W2,
No, but
but
what do you mean, does she give us,
W9.
W9,
does
okay.
she give us? a
Yeah.
blank one, how does it work?
I'll get that from her. I'll
No.
find out from her tomorrow.
Yeah, a W9 comes from your vendor. It's their tax information.
Mhm,
So does he have to fill it out ahead of time?
Everybody that's in some type of business already has a W9.
right,
It either goes by a tax generated number from the feds, which is
Mhm.
non-tax. Like a farmer doesn't pay tax. They have a specific number that they use to go and purchase something. They use this number that's non-tax. And then there's the other form of payment is a W2.
mhm,
That would be like your paycheck. So if you get money outside of somebody issuing you a W2 for your regular 40-hour-a-week job, and you do something additional, anything over $600 has got to be issued a 1099.
okay,
And that 1099 is going to be based on the W9.
right. So, yeah, so I'll talk to Laura tomorrow, now that we've got because I had asked her a while ago, and she just kind of said quickly, oh, you need this and this, but I'll confirm tomorrow now that the budget's finalized. That was the first step, so.
So next week I can get the
Yeah,
paperwork.
and I'll hopefully I'll have that. I'll email you tomorrow with whatever else we need, and I think we have everything, but I'll verify. So,
Might go forget it, it's been a
Yeah.
year.
I hope not, but. So we'll go. Septic director's report. Did a perk on 45 North Lake Ave, that was just a repair. 3 Pond View. That was a repair as well. That one had a little bit of a discrepancy with the bedroom count. They haven't submitted the plan yet, but, system was originally, it's only from 15 years ago. System was originally designed for 4 bedrooms. I didn't go in the house, but the people say that it's only a 4-bedroom house. Yet for some reason on the assessor's card, it says that it is a 5-bedroom. So, Barry Searle's doing the design, and I told him if it is actually a 4-bedroom, you can design it for that, but they should go to the assessor's office and make sure their record's corrected, because I could totally see them going to sell whenever. I think they're just only replacing it because the system's failing. They're not planning to sell now. But any random realtor looking at it and saying, oh, it's a 5-bedroom, marketing as such, and then whatever. So now's the time to make sure it's correct. So either 5-bedroom system or fix it with the assessors. So
Where is Pondview?
next to the ranch, it's one of those streets there off
Oh,
the sunny
it's one of
side.
those Off the hills, between Hillside and Sunnyside, one of those big houses. there?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
So the
I
pond
was
you're
thinking
talking
it's-
about is what, a retaining pond?
I didn't even see a pond.
Must be a retaining ponds, something.
Yeah,
Off of Sunnyside.
it's off.
Do
It's
they
the,
have a shared driveway? No.
no, it's like, and there's maybe like 10 houses. I didn't count, but, there's like a little gate at the end. It's like a cul-de-sac. And it's literally the last left before you cross in the Westfield line.
They're coming down.
It's like, it's right past the ranch and then right in between the ranch and Westfield there.
Okay,
I think literally on the back,
yeah,
the field on the back side of the property is in Westfield. So that one, not too concerned with it, but I just want to let you guys know, gonna make sure that discrepancy is corrected.
so you'll get a design in accordance with the
Right,
with what the assessors
with,
have.
right,
Right.
right. And then 352 North Loomis, this system was, I can't remember how, it was like 10 years old. No, it was a little more than that, maybe 15. They had to get, with the last system that was installed, they had to get a variance for the well distant, just to their own well. The local upgrade approval. And they're gonna have to do that again for the replacement system. And I wasn't sure what your, historically, the process has been. I know when I was in Westfield, if it was only affected their own well, as the health inspector, I would just grant that variant or grant the local upgrade approval. But I want to check with you guys, is that something you normally vote on? Or do you only do it when it's a neighbor or something that's affected?
I don't know, you have to check with Tom. I don't know if they had to test their well.
Yeah, so they are supposed to test it and, they're recommended to test it every year or 2 years, I can't remember exactly, but when they have the variance and it's between 150 feet, to the well, in order to get a passing Title V, if they go to sell it, they have to test the well at that point.
So what is the distance?
It'll be, I don't know exactly, but I think it'll be, like 60, 70, if I remember correctly, but when I get the plan, I'll know exactly what it will be.
You check with Tom. to see
Okay, I'll double check with Tom, and if,
whether-
I'll go with whatever he says. If he says, no, that's fine, you just grant it, I'll do that, and if he says,
there's no
have you
place
guys
up-
vote
is
on it?
lot small?
yeah, it's kind of a small lot, and where the well is, it's like kind of on the back side of the house. It's not too far from the house, so it's kind of in the middle of the lot. So wherever they go,
Close to it.
yeah, it's a tough lot for it, but the repaired system will be better for their well than their failing system, even if it is close to the well, so. So that was also down below, but we already covered that one, so. 266 Hillside Road, that was a COC that I issued that was done in the fall, for For some reason, it was never issued, but we had all the paperwork, so I issued that.
Putting in a D-box that are repair.
Yeah, they were just replacing the D-box, so they had had a Title V conditional pass and, they just had to replace the D-box. Did a final inspection at 205 Vining Hill Road and, lot 8 Mort Vining Road.
So what number more binding is that gonna be?
I don't
Then we
remember,
can get
yeah,
all the numbers.
I'll double check, I have to go, they were working on lot 9 as well, so that. That will be next week that I'll be out again, to do lot 9, so
That's across from Flynn Farm.
I don't know. I don't
It's,
know,
if you go 100 yards down the road, you're in Connecticut, right?
I think so,
Yeah.
Okay,
think
so
so.
that is across from Flynn
Yeah.
Farm.
But you know what happens? All these come in as lots.
Right,
Yeah.
and we don't have the
You don't have
number.
a
Yeah.
number and you have all these perks that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was a question I was talking to Tom about. We do all these perks and we have them, but when they submit a plan to us, I would think we need to pull our perk, not just go by theirs. But
Hmm.
pull our perk and say, oh yeah, I did do this perk and yeah, this is right.
Well,
right,
we used to have a book of all the perks, and that's what we did when the
Yeah.
plan came in, pulled them out of that perk
To
book.
compare to.
yeah. I
Yeah.
did check with Tom on that, and he said he used to do it, but he found that they never needed his records. Cause the way the Title V is written is whether or not they submit a plan within 30 days after a perk, the soil evaluator is required to submit that record to the town. So usually people wanna move quickly, and within 30 days, you're getting the plan with the perk and everything anyway.
It seems like you
Um,
would pull your perk. 'Cause
Right,
I have perks up there. and It's like,
yeah,
Yeah, where do they go?
so he said he never used he used to have a note sheet that he would fill out when he was at a perk. But he found it to be completely redundant and never went back and looked at his notes because. We get the report within 30 days from the soil evaluator, so he could check it then, and, so he said that it's not worth it, which is the same thing we did in Westfield, is a previous inspector had done that. It actually creates a little bit of an issue because sometimes somehow people get their hands on because it's a public record, so if they request, any information on a perk at this property, and then they have the inspector's notes, which look the same as what a soil evaluator would fill out, then they could design a plan off of our notes, which they should be designing it off of the official record, which is what the soil evaluator did and submitted, so. So I was thinking, one thing we did in Westfield that I was thinking of putting on our perk app. Is when I would get back from a perk, I would have the little for office only section on the bottom of the application. And just put a quick note of, yeah, the perk passed, it was, 9 minutes an inch. And it was in the front yard, like very brief notes or something like that. As opposed to filling out the whole form with the soil log and all of that. So that way I still have something I can cross-reference without producing something that is gonna be totally redundant. So,
as long as you can cross-reference it.
Yeah.
Cause then
Yeah.
you're signing off in the end and.
right. Right, so,
And when the plans came in, you could actually go back to this cross-reference and say, yeah, I got this.
right. And it was never an issue for, like, it would have been nice, cause we've had so much turnover recently. Now I'm getting plans come in and I didn't do the perks. When I was in Westfield for 7 years, or when Tom was here for 20, 30, he remembered, he was, oh yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
So,
So when those plans come in, there should be a perk somewhere.
right. So if it's a case where, they did a perk 2 years ago. And it was a new lot and the owner was like, oh, I don't have the money right now, I'll wait to do a plan. the soil evaluator should, at that time, 2 years ago, should have submitted the record of the perk. So we should still, even if it comes in 2 years later, we should still have something to say, oh yeah, we did do this perk.
So where are we keeping them? Like, you have all the roads, are we keeping them in that first folder, which is the miscellaneous folder? Which is, you know, you have all the.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So keep them in there?
I've been, I think that would probably make sense, if it's not, doesn't already have an address. I think the miscellaneous would make sense.
Oh, right, oh, yeah, if it has an address.
But if it has an
If
address.
it's a lot versus
Right.
an address.
If it has an actual
If it has an
address, then
address,
we
we
could
can
just make a
write
folder
it.
for it,
Right.
so.
That's right.
So even in those cases, even if we don't produce anything, there should be something to cross-reference, but. But I think at some point I will modify our perk application to have just a little spot for a note
Mm.
of, yeah, this was done. Without going too overboard, so.
So some of the perks that we have that I've been putting away that we got from the soil evaluator. You know, I go to match it up with lot 12, but they went and crossed 12 out, now it's 25. And you go and you look
Mm-hmm.
at 25, well, 25 already has it,
Yeah,
but it's not this
Yeah.
perk.
and that's unfortunately, that's a universal
Yeah.
problem, because we had the same problem in Westfield, because you have to do your septic and your well before you can get a building permit. So, and sometimes the developer changes hands in that time, someone will do the perk and plan, and then they'll sell it to someone else, and then they'll do the well, like.
So,
So that, and the developer, the property owner, they just arbitrarily assign lot numbers. However,
Right.
they could have their own system, so
and
some
what,
people it makes sense, and some people it's just
at
random.
what point do you get a house number? After you,
I think after you establish your building permit,
Right,
then they have to give you.
not after the sign off from the building, but. when you
No,
get the
I
building-
think when they go to get their
yeah,
building,
when
they
they,
have to have a number then.
yeah.
Yeah, so let's try to,
when-
and I know Karen's involved in all that, but let's try to make sure we get.
Yeah,
house numbers.
so far, for the new ones that I've seen for the new developments, Sawgrass, and it's been I've been able to figure it out pretty easily, but sometimes you get just a stumper, and they should put the map and parcel number too, usually, but sometimes you don't have that if they haven't subdivided it yet, so. All you can do for that is just be diligent, I guess, but, I think that's it for septic. For housing, with 2 Lakemont Street, I finally got through to, the property owner, Mr. Tishy. And he informed me that he was selling the property. He had just received the contract. And the closing should be before the end of the month. And I said, all right, let me know, because he had said that initially in February that he was gonna sell it, so I was like, all right, we'll see what's happening. And then actually the next day, the gentleman who is buying the property called me, because he said, I heard there was health issues, just wanted to let you know, yeah, I'm buying it. And I said, well, if you're buying it and planning to knock it down or fix it up or whatever, then there's no point in us doing anything. So he confirmed what the property owner had told me, that the closing should be by the end of the month, so.
Is there a Title V on that?
I am not sure, but I think that would be a case where he'd be allowed to do the Title V within the 6 months after he buys it.
It's not on sewer.
No,
No.
I don't think
because
so, yeah,
it's on the side,
yeah,
it's not on the main.
Yeah.
So what's he gonna do? Is he gonna knock it down? Is he gonna renovate?
he's gonna see, he's like, he said, I didn't even wanna go in the house myself.
Hmm.
But he said he's gonna have his, whoever he's gonna use for a contractor, and, once he gets it, they're gonna go in and see if there's anything worth saving, or if they're just gonna knock it over.
Okay,
So, so that was good news. 440 College Highway here, I did a re-inspection last week. Been working on the inspection letter, which I have to get out tomorrow. they got some stuff done. There was a couple new things and a couple things that weren't done yet, so. So I'll send out the re-inspection letter and give them probably another 14 days and, hopefully get that wrapped up.
Now that's right here.
Yep,
Is it upstairs?
it's upstairs, on the 440 is two houses is 440, so it's the right house upstairs is where I did the inspection.
It's the right,
Yeah,
you have a history on that.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
do.
Yep, so,
Okay.
and 16 I think it was different owners, because I remember.
Yes,
When I first went out, I remember,
yeah,
looking it up and, the current owners, I think they're pretty good. They did get a lot done and quickly. And they actually own a property in Westfield that there was an issue and it was in the health code. It wasn't clear whether they needed a extra, fire escape. But the building inspector was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you need it. So they just went ahead and
did it.
put in it was an extensive project to put in the fire escape, but they had to put in an extra door and everything, and they did it all, and
I'm just
Um,
curious if it's the same tenant.
yeah, I can't
It's
remember,
beyond.
but yeah,
Not
so,
my business.
yeah. So that one is progressing along, hopefully won't be too much longer. 16 Congamon Road. I was just there yesterday and I was finally able to I had talked to the housing authority previously. The first time I had stopped by, it was a family member that was there, but I was actually able to talk to the tenant. They are still working on it. There was still a lot of trash. So I'm gonna reach out to the housing authority again and give them a really short leash and if the tenant's not able to get it done quickly, then we can do a violation and that sort of thing, but, so that I'll keep an eye on, but we don't want it, especially as it gets hotter, there was a lot of bags, it's gonna get gross, so.
So what if their problem, they don't have a dump permit, they don't have
I'm,
transportation to the.
I think she
transfer
doesn't
station?
have transportation and I don't know what the deal, I don't know if the housing authority, if they pay for trash service. Or if it's the tenant's responsibility to pay for trash service, so, for one reason or another, I'm assuming the trash pickup isn't happening regularly based on how much.
Right.
At this point, it's beyond, just being able to put a little extra out every week, like it's gonna require. Some serious dump trips, so. So that one we'll see, but like I said, I'm gonna give them a short leash and hopefully it won't go on for too much longer. Food service, again, been too tied up with septic and housing and then the grant, so. Haven't got out to do any food inspections.
When you do, can you go count the seats at 157?
Yes, yep, I will. For the public health grant, I think I gave you the revised budget with the remaining amounts, and that's as of March 31st, so we spent a little more. We just had a meeting the other day. And Sue was at the meeting and, kind of the two big things we talked about, we had a presentation from, Relevant Systems, which is an inspection software company. And that went really well. So seemed like all the towns were on board. So we're gonna try to move forward with that put it in our budget for the next fiscal year.
And it wasn't that expensive, remember we did that e-permitting thing, which is like 11,000 or 16,000.
Right,
This is like what, 1,650.
Yeah,
for the primary program, but what about the maintenance contract?
I think that was per year. It's that much per year,
You
so.
pay them out so.
But I think we had the wrong idea. It's the 1650 for the food. Another 1650 for the housing,
Yeah, another, yeah,
and then,
but.
and that's per
Per
town,
town, yeah.
so,
So it's 32 per town, and there's
Yeah.
5
Well,
towns?
no, for the small towns, you only have, you can.
Yeah, they said
what,
they have a,
500?
I think it would have been, it'd be 300, because they have a separate. Price for like the office only, so for Southwick, we would get a license. For me to use as the inspector, and then another license for. Whoever becomes the Board of Health secretary. So they can access stuff from, when someone calls, I need a copy of this or whatever. So you have the office, and that is like 300, I think, for the office one. For the small towns where they have less than 10 food establishments. They will allow you to just get the office one. So, I know Montgomery definitely has less than 10. Granville might be on the fence, Russell might be on the fence.
This is the restaurant.
Yeah, Tolland said they don't have any restaurants, so they might opt out, and they might not want to get the software at all. Which I don't think would prevent them not wanting it. I don't think that would prevent everyone else from being able to get it, so.
So the grant would provide it
Yeah,
for
the grant.
everybody,
Yeah,
but this one doesn't have
yeah,
any.
and if
so-
they opted out, then they could, if we had money in the budget, halfway through the year, if they said, hey, we changed our mind. We might be able to add it in, or the next year, we could say, we'll budget for it and you can get it at
And
this
this
point, so.
money that you pay for the license for each inspector,
Yeah,
is it for the year? It covers everything.
yeah, so,
Maintenance,
Covers
Yeah,
maintenance, covers
everything.
And
teaching,
upgrades.
yeah,
yeah,
everything.
yeah, so.
So for example, Tom would be an inspector, Tom Fitzgerald would be an inspector, who's in Russell,
Joe Rouse,
Joe Rouse.
yeah,
And do we have someone else? And Blanford's gonna probably want one,
yeah,
so it'd be 4.
4, yeah, and then,
And it depends whether they want food or housing or just one or the other or both.
and
Right.
whether they have a secretary that will do the add-on.
right,
Secondary,
But
$300.
those smaller
Yeah.
towns will get a reduced price.
Right,
It'd be
right.
$16.50.
right, and then there was another, we would probably be the only town that would want it, but, and what was it, like 800,
9 something.
something,
For swimming. pool
and that would
tan or
do
something.
the tanning salon, swimming pools and body art. We could do all those on that, so.
So
um,
is there any way you can come up with an actual restaurant count, tanning and body art,
Yeah,
how many in each?
yeah, so,
You can for us easily.
yeah.
That's all
Well,
we've done.
yeah, but
For the
how
other
many for
towns.
the other?
for the other
towns?
towns, yeah. So I will, they included a spreadsheet. And it's all automatically populated, so you put in how many licenses you want, for each town, and then it tells you what the price, so I kind of roughed it out. And I think the annual price for all 6 towns is gonna be like 11 or 12,000 with all the licenses. But I'm gonna have to call each town and say, what do you want? What do you want? And then,
Right,
Um,
and where would that fall in the budget?
that would fall into,
But
uh,
this is only if we get next year, if we get the 300,000 or we get more,
yeah,
Yeah,
it's contingent upon that.
so that would fall into technology software.
okay.
So we didn't, I took,
There's nothing in there now.
yeah, I took money out of technology software because we weren't using it this year, so that's one of the
Okay.
things I moved it to another
Okay,
account, but, so that was the one big thing. The other big thing was a, intermunicipal agreement, which all of the select boards of all 6 towns would have to agree on, and then that would, kind of set up the governance for our whole group, because right now it's a little bit, there's no set way of how do we make the decision of who's gonna get a license for the software and how much we're willing to spend on it. So that would, we got a draft IMA from the Mass Association of Health Boards. And they are actually contracted by DPH to help our PHE groups through this process. So they have a lawyer who's gonna come to our, I still have to schedule it, but they're hopefully gonna be able to come to our next meeting. For the grant, and they will be able to answer any questions, so. I sent the draft agreement out to all the towns, so hopefully everyone will, I also sent it to Carl. And he reached out to the town council and our town insurance company. So hopefully everyone will be able to get feedback, and if there's any concerns. Being the lead agency, we have the most skin in the game, so. So I think we would be the ones that would most likely have issues with anything, but. So that will be helpful. I'd like to get that done before we make any of these big decisions, like hiring the shared service coordinator, getting the software and all that, because then it's kind of spells out each town gets one vote. You have a voting member and a backup, and so.
And then what do you do if that town just doesn't participate?
Yeah, there is, there would be just like the Board of Health, like you need the quorum to vote, so if. One town never comes and we still had, the other 5 were there, we could still vote on stuff without them. And there is. Information about, I guess procedures about someone leaving the group, so.
So this last meeting, we had, what, Blanford, Granville, Southwick. Who
Yeah.
else was on the?
I was there for Montgomery, so, yeah, so we had everyone but Russell, so, and I actually saw. Joe Rouse today, so I talked to him about that, so I told him our next meeting's tentatively. May 18th, and this is what we're talking about, and you need to be there, and if you're not there, then someone from Russell needs to be there, so.
So you would get 2 votes, right? Because you're.
Yeah.
Montgomery and Southwick.
Yep,
So is that gonna hopefully be in the?
Is that a conflict of interest?
I don't think so.
is it-
If for HCHC, I've attended for. Southwick and Montgomery, as well as for Westfield and Montgomery, and I've always had 2 votes.
Hmm.
So, and Joe Rouse does that he's the director in Westfield and he covers Russell, so.
So is that in the the municipal agreement about, one inspector being in both?
Yeah.
towns?
Yeah,
Is that
that
addressed?
is. I don't recall if it's addressed, but that's definitely a good question. I'm gonna put a note for that. That's a good question to ask when MAHB comes,
Yeah.
because if. They might not like that if one person is the voting member for 2 towns, so.
But
So
if
it
it's-
might mean,
But if it's in our agreement, everybody agrees to it.
But
Right.
Montgomery doesn't really have its own government, does it? Isn't it just a subset of Westfield?
no, they have their own,
Oh,
they
they
have a
do?
select board and all that, yeah.
Oh, do they have a
Yeah.
health? other than
They-
you?
They're so small, though, they don't have an actual health board, so their select board is their health board.
Mhm.
But they meet separately, like there's a different chair. So like they'll all come for their meeting, and first they'll do the select board meeting, and they'll do that. And then they'll open the minutes for the Board of Health. And they'll do that separately, so there's one guy's the select board chair and another one is the Board of Health chair,
So-
so.
If they don't go for that, then some of them, the selectmen.
Yeah,
Select
yeah,
board,
so one of the board members would have to be the voting member and. But that, either way, we would wanna clear that up. I hadn't thought of that yet, so. So that was the software, the IMA, the budget. I think those were the last thing with the budget. DPH has not provided us with our final award amount for next fiscal year. I've been told it's gonna be the full 300,000, which is what would allow us to get the software and do all the stuff we've been talking about. But they haven't finalized it. The budget was originally gonna be due next week, but they have postponed the due date because without our final number, we can't submit a budget, so. So that is in progress. Oh, you know what? I forgot to, I'm gonna pull that up on the, internet. So the next thing, so we already talked about the septic variance for the well. And then I want to read you an excerpt from our new Board of Health regulations about old perk, because the perks used to expire. And now it's, I wanted to be sure, I don't know if the intent was if we want to allow using the old perk, if the intent was you guys wanted to vote on it, or if you guys want me to just make that decision. And I meant to print this out beforehand, but I forgot.
When we say they're good for 5 years,
So,
and then after that,
yes.
we have to
The-
evaluate it.
Yeah, the
determine.
Board of Health at its discretion may require the. Oh. Nope, wrong one. Validity of a soil suitability assessment after expiration shall be reviewed on an individual basis. Verification of the assessment results, the precise location of the assessment tests, and any change in the topography or drainage at or near the assessment sites shall be provided to the Board of Health. The Board of Health at any time may require additional percolation tests or soil evaluation tests to be performed for confirmation of a previous test at the expense of the owner. So it does say the Board of Health, so I wasn't sure if you guys wanted to vote on that, or if me being the agent of the Board of Health, if you're okay with me just saying, yeah, nothing's changed on site, the soil is still the same, we can use the old perk.
So you want to amend that to put the Board of Health, comma, or its agent.
Okay,
But we don't want to amend it now, we just
did it,
we just
Did it.
yeah,
So, just bring it up to the board. I mean,
Okay.
you're gonna have to go out and look at to see
Yep.
where it is.
Yep.
Make sure everything's marked and check did anybody put a well in that shouldn't have put a well in and.
yeah, okay. So,
Do that
I'm
one.
gonna I got one, yeah,
Mm.
and it's on the agenda, so let's vote on it right now. I haven't reviewed the full plan yet, but I did look at the old plan and go out to the site and nothing really has changed.
It's on 15 North Pond.
15 North Pond, so it's, if you go down North Pond and you get to the cul-de-sac, it looks like a driveway, but it's a private road, and then there's a few more houses back there. So it's one of those, there was a house there. The perk was done in, where is it on here? In 2012, so 11 years ago.
We have a perk.
We do have the perk. Tom had approved the old plan. And it was gonna be. I can show you guys. So this is the old plan that Tom had approved in 2013. So there's the road there.
And they never put it in.
No, there was a house at the time. They've since taken the house down, so it's just a wooded lot. But not, other than taking the house down, nothing's changed. It was really sandy soil.
Well, yeah,
Uh,
they're right near the lake.
Right, so, I did check with Tom since he remembered it and he had been out there for the, initial perk.
So you
said
you went out there?
I went out there, yep. So I think
Is the perk- is it-
it was a little hard to see where they were, because there's like a bunch of little small trees and stuff in there, but I did see one of the markings at least, so. And then this plan just came in the other day. Brian Nelson from Arlavec is doing it, so,
So this,
It's based on
Is-
what the 2 minutes per inch.
yeah, they already did the design. I did tell him that I would have to run it by you guys. But they did the design anyway, because even if they have to re-perk it, it'll be the same, so.
Is this the pond?
Yeah, that's the pond, so this is
Where's the
where the
road?
gravel road is kind of in here.
and what number North Pond is
It
this?
was
Did it go to
15.
conservation?
15. I put 15,
Oh, it's in conservation now.
and they actually put 13 North Pond, but it is the same
Is it 15 or 13?
It's 13. I put the wrong thing on the agenda.
for June?
Yeah,
So-
it is 13.
It is 13, because that says 13 and the current one says 13, so,
Okay, so this is the one that it was already before
yeah,
conservation, and they got a 3-year extension.
okay,
So we're
So,
all set with conservation?
yeah,
yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I'll have to,
is this is like way, is there?
it's steep, yeah,
Yeah,
it's steep, so,
Going down toward the lake?
yes.
yeah,
That's somewhere near the rope swing.
Now, is that 5 foot separation?
it should be. I haven't fully reviewed the plan just came in, I think yesterday, so I haven't had a chance to do the full review yet, but if you guys wanted, you could vote on the use of the 2012 perks
Yeah, nothing is changing.
and pending, my review and conservation that the using the old perks wouldn't be an
Does
issue.
Title 5 say 5 feet separation between the grass soils?
Yeah.
Because we used to say that, and I think we got rid of it because of the Title.
So,
5
yeah,
said it.
Title 5 says that.
Okay.
Yeah, oh, the perks were actually a little older than that even. The perks were from 2007. But Tom still witnessed them. So,
Make motion.
You want me to make a motion? Why don't you make a motion? I make motions all the time.
No, but you're so good at it.
Okay. I'm going to make a motion to allow the use of the percolation test on file for the design on 13 North Pond Road,
The year, what year? You said 2007?
2000 on file,
yeah,
the one on
the
file,
one on file. Which was 2007.
2007.
I second that motion.
Jean Nielsen,
It's all in favor.
aye.
Okay, it's Nebraska.
All right. So that one done, emergency beaver permit, I just issued that, this evening, actually. There is it's kind of affects both sides of the road. There's, 110 Fred Jackson is up on the hill. And where their driveway, right next to their driveway, there's like a little drainage way or stream that comes down and there's a culvert that goes under the road. And then the stream continues on the side of 110 Fred Jackson, which is where the beaver hut is like 10 feet off the road. And then the dam is a little further back. So from the dam, the flooding is going across the culvert and it's flooding up on the other side. Meanwhile, at the same time, DPW is having Crestview on the opposite side of the road from the beaver. They're going and cleaning up all of the stormwater drainage along the road. And so they're at a standstill because they have caught up to where the beaver is and it's too wet for them to do that.
Excuse me, Ken.
Yeah.
Why don't you stop sharing?
Oh, thank you.
You know where that is. It's right across from Todd Brown's house.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's where it is. Okay.
Yeah. So
So you get rid of the beavers, but is the food source still there? The food source still there? So the next family will just move in.
yeah,
Actually, there's not a lot of big trees there.
no, it's like on the 110 side, there's like a big like hayfield right next to it. So the regulations are a little unclear for drainage. Like it almost says you have to wait till the road is flooded before you can call it an emergency, which I don't think makes sense. But in addition to that flooding of the storm drainage, there's also a utility pole, which is the base of the utility pole is in water. And then the supports that come down at an angle, the anchors those are in water too.
I have no problem.
Yeah, so that is,
I see what they do.
yeah,
Do you
that,
know who owns that?
Is it your nephew?
Kevin, right?
Kevin.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, if it affects agriculture, that can also be considered an emergency, so. So I just issued that this evening. They still have to go through the Conservation Commission, because ultimately what they want to do is breach the dam. So the water level goes down so they can continue doing the work on the other side of the road.
The emergency permit was given to the owner or given to the town?
Given to the town, but the property owner signed a consent form that they're okay with it.
It's
So,
essentially in the town's right of way, though, the
Yeah.
10 feet off of the road.
yeah, so, yeah, we can give the permit and that allows them to trap the beaver, and then they go through conservation to breach the dam, or they could put in like a, I think they call them beaver deceivers to,
Yeah, I was.
Keep
told
'em away
that
somehow,
our trap
so.
with the beaver deceivers they work for a while and then.
Yeah.
and then they don't, yeah,
The
Yeah.
deceiver smartens up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
right, so.
Um,
So that's all set. The new housing code, still is not in effect, as far as I know.
What did you say by May 1st?
Yeah, the guy that did the presentation for Relevant Systems has a connection at DPH. So he had heard, not officially, that May 1st it would be effective, but we'll see. I think I've only had one landlord called and asked me, wanted to talk all sorts of questions about the new code, and I said, it's not even in effect yet. I'm still going off the old code, so I can't help you there just yet. Crepes Tea House, we voted on that at the last meeting, and we had said that they need to, if they're going to increase their capacity, the number of seats needs to match
Right,
what their septic is sized for. Since then, the owners of the restaurant have come and they got a copy of their septic. Which I emailed it to them. So, but I have nothing official has come in, so, and the planning board meeting is next week. So,
so,
they're thinking about it.
So are you issuing the letter stating that?
I haven't, I sent an email to John, to put the board's, what you guys voted on.
Yeah.
And now that these minutes are approved, I'm gonna send those to him as well. So they can refer to the minutes at their
Okay,
meeting. And so I kind of, I think I said this at the last meeting. I don't know what a better way to do it would be, but I don't like the way the state has us do sizing for restaurants based on number of seats. Because you could have a restaurant that only does takeout, but based on what they cook, they could be using a ton of water, a ton of grease, and they could destroy their septic system. You could also have a restaurant that has 100 seats and, all they serve is salad. And their system, they put nothing into their system and it's gonna last forever. So I wish there was a better way to do it. I really don't think there is, but, so even though they built those structures, I don't think there's any seats yet. Like, even if it was by square footage, I think it would make more sense than number of seats. Cause that square footage would affect how many seats you could have.
have you been in the structures?
Not yet, no. So, they have the big glass window, so as I've driven by, I've peeked in. It doesn't look like there's anything in there. I've never seen people in there, but.
But you have to take into consideration, it's a structure,
Right,
they're going to serve food,
right,
people aren't gonna stand.
right,
And
right,
the people that are in those structures are also going to use the facilities in the main building.
right, exactly.
So
So,
you got some kind of seating there you have to count.
right, but they're not, they don't have their occupancy permit or anything for those yet, so they haven't technically violated Title V yet. So kind of in a wait and see. They did get the plan, so I know they're at least thinking about it. I haven't communicated directly with them yet. I was gonna wait till after the planning board meeting, because John had said there could be other issues, so it might be a moot point, but
Right now, what's their seating capacity, 90 or something?
90, according to what they submitted to planning board and their septic plan, it's 90. I think they had said 90, but the septic plan was actually sized, I think 93 or 94. So,
What's the mechanism for them getting the food from the main building to the,
I think they would just walk it over. So,
And maybe get hot plates. in the
Yeah.
little Buildings.
Yeah.
keep it warm.
from what I could tell, I think the intent was like, if you wanted to have a birthday party or a shower or, sometimes they'll do like a
Private.
professional lunch sort of thing, something like that, but, who knows? So next week after the planning board meeting, I'll know more, and then we can, we need to do any official enforcement, we can, but, that will have to keep on the radar. PHE grant meeting, we already talked about that one. The Tri-Town nursing grant meeting, that is the COVID grant with West Springfield and Agawam, which has the epidemiologists that track the COVID cases. So being that we don't really have to do any contact tracing for COVID anymore, I think that next year they're not going to continue and keep the epidemiologist on.
starts to July 1st?
I believe so. But there is still funding available, because they had, for the last fiscal year, they had $30,000 budgeted for Southwick for if we had a COVID surge and that they needed to hire another contact tracer or something like that, which never happened. So now there's this money that we have to spend. So
What,
they will
before the end
allow,
of the year,
they
or-
will, I'm pretty sure, Jean was pretty sure they would allow a rollover. So we will be able to use it
For what?
for, they have like a list of, we've already been, so we basically met to kind of brainstorm ideas. Jean said we can get, technology, and that includes for, support staff. So I talked to Jim, and I'm gonna get a quote for a computer for the Board of Health Secretary, because that one is pretty old. It sounds like an airplane, and it, when I've had to log on, it takes me,
Is that the one I'm using?
the one you're using, yeah, it's slow, so. So that's funding we can use for that, so I figured might as well.
We
Additionally,
can definitely use it just for us here and our.
yeah, it just for Southwick, it's not for all the other towns in our other grant, because they're separate, so. So yeah, I don't think we need much else for technology stuff, computer stuff, but if I can think of anything, we'll use it for that. We already bought some books, infectious disease manuals, the update. I think we had some of the older ones on file, but got 2023 versions.
Have her toss the old, or donate the old ones or something.
Yeah, so so we did that. We did check with Gene checked with the state, and we can get COVID tests with it. So that's kind of our backup, is if I'm assuming at some point now that next month the emergency status is going away, the state will stop giving out COVID tests. So if it looks like there might be any sort of I don't know if we want to call it a surge, or if we'll just end up calling it COVID and flu season instead of just flu season. But that could be something in the fall. we could possibly get some COVID tests to give out like we have been. But just pay for them with that rather than get them from the state for free. So that's an option. And Tricia just had an idea today. There was an article about how it's beneficial for preventing COVID and other airborne diseases, improving the ventilation in schools. So that was one of the things that might be, it was control measures in K through 12 setting for infectious disease. So that I reached out to Jean today. She said, maybe that would qualify, but we would need to know more concrete whether it's just air purifiers in each room or whether it's a HVAC filter for the whole building or whatever. So
You have to have someone come in and do an air quality.
I'm not sure. So that we just thought about that today. So Tricia was gonna reach out to the schools and see if they have anything for that, for air purification or ventilation, and if they're interested. So that's one other route we're gonna explore to see if
How much
That's-
money do we have that we're rolling over?
pretty much $30,000.
Just for
We've
us
used
or for everybody?
just for us.
Just for
and
Thomas?
West
Southwick?
West Springfield has 40,000 and Agawam has 40,000.
So we have 30,000.
So we have,
Then hopefully it'll be rolled over.
yeah. And I don't know if there's gonna be more money for next year or if this is the end and we're just rolling it over. But so we're brainstorming some ideas on that and we'll see. If they're willing to cover this, I think that would make sense to kind of improve the condition at the school a little bit and be able to, you don't want to waste that kind of money
Right.
if you don't have to,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, use it.
So that's, worst case scenario, we'll just get COVID tests and be able to give them out a little bit longer than everybody else.
Yeah, new PC is a good idea.
Yeah, so, and that's it. Nothing unanticipated came up. And, our next meeting will be May 4th. Do you guys have anything else?
And that'll be Jean's last meeting. Well, maybe your last meeting.
You
You never know.
never know.
You never know.
You'll miss us.
After 30 years, yes.
You are gonna miss us. What's the time? 7.
7:06.
So I make a motion, we adjourn the meeting at 7:06.
And I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Jean Nielsen, aye.
Sue, yes. Thank you
Okay.
very much.